Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey, look who we got.
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you. Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Carvers and Creators, a weekly demonstration and discussion with sculptors, carvers, and multi-talented artists from around the world. If you're a fan of the show and you like what we do, be sure to give us a like and a follow on the platform you're watching us on, and let us know in the comments where you're watching us from. My name's Paul Denver. I'm an artist and sculptor from Boston, Massachusetts. With me, as always, is my co-host and good buddy, Matt Harper. He is an artist and sculptor from Tucson, Arizona. And our guests tonight, returning for round 3. They have been collaborating for over 20 years, pushing the boundaries of pumpkin art to new levels every season. Their work has been displayed at the Museum of Modern Art, the Whitney Museum, and Yankee Stadium. They've appeared on Good Morning America, Rachel Ray, The Kitchen, The Chew, Martha Stewart, and most recently, Shark Tank. It's my pleasure to welcome back to the show, Marc, Evan, and Chris Soria, the Maniac pumpkin carvers.
Welcome.
Welcome back, boys.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you guys on.
Always. I mean, this is royalty, pumpkin royalty.
It is, and what a busy year. Thanks for squeezing us in. It's still pumpkin season for the Maniacs.
It is.
Yeah, we're still going strong in November. It's awesome how the pumpkin season has been going until Thanksgiving, and we still doing wedding orders, Thanksgiving table orders, different parties and events.
So good.
So a random question about that, because you have so many, you've been doing it for so long. I mean, there's got to be a hotline, but you also have a number of artists working for you. And as you go past Halloween and you're still in pumpkin season, do you still, depending on, I guess, the orders, you just do it like contract and get some friends in to help on a bigger order, or is it just the two of you just kind of knocking them out as you can?
Good question.
Yeah, no, we have an amazing crew of pumpkin carvers that we assemble, particularly we get a lot of projects that we're working on. As you guys know, pumpkins are an ephemeral medium, so we carve everything within 24 hours of when they're needed. And we work with a variety of portrait artists, tattoo artists, illustrators, painters, street artists, sculptors.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, for certain orders in November, we, when we have big orders and we're carving highly detailed pieces, we're bringing the crew back together. And, most of the time in October is when we're all really, cranking the pumpkins out. But right before Thanksgiving, we get, a couple big orders that we get back together. And in studio carving.
It's always kind of awesome too, because after Halloween things, we take a little time to regroup and see our families and take care of life a little bit. But then after a week or so, we're back in the studio and working on stuff. Right now we're doing a big painted installation. But this weekend, the carving crew starts coming back into the studio, and we start gearing up for our Thanksgiving projects. And
cool.
It's great too, because the pace is always a little bit easier for the Thanksgiving project than the Halloween grind. So yeah. It's a little bit more manageable. We know, we're also they're this particular project that we do every year for Thanksgiving. It's always some of our most detailed works for it's a dozen just top tier etched pumpkins. And so we bring in our Avengers crew of carvers, and it's a blast. It's getting to also work on some dope pieces at a little bit more relaxed pace, and having all of that momentum of the pumpkin season. It's right. It's kind of cumulative. You get more into a flow as the season goes on. And so to do these kind of final projects of the season, everybody's just in top form and brings their A game. It's always awesome.
Nice. Yeah. Everybody's flow is good at that point. You're just banging everything out one after the other, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And I got to say though, we have a lot to get to, but I got to say, I'm looking behind you guys, and it's more, I think this is the most, since we've had you on the other couple of times, this is the most amazing we've seen in the background from like, it almost looks like a storefront.
It is a store.
According what we've seen in your because Paul and I are big fans of it. So yeah, we did troll your Instagram many times, but watching the progress of you even setting it up was really cool. And yeah, I mean, tell us about that real quick.
Thanks.
Yeah, we so our Maniac Pumpkin HQ has, over the past 15 years, you know, we've approached it as a pop-up where we've acquired a space that we rent for, you know, a temporary amount of time, you know, for 3 months a year, and make the most of it, make it work for us. You know, over the years, they've been anything from, you know, a section of a warehouse to, you know, an actual storefront, a vacant apartment. For the past few years, we've had our HQ up in Yonkers, and we, you know, take up a vacant storefront that, you know, we, you know, set up various carving stations and our photo station and our computer admin station, you know, shipping and handling and whatnot, all our different departments. And so
the funny thing though is that, you know, we're not open to the public, so we trick it out. Like, we make it look, we want it to be fun and festive in here and look great.
Yeah,
That's for us and for our team. You know, it's like we will do photo shoots and things in here, but like, you know, general public doesn't come in. Nobody in the shopping center even knows we're here. We're kind of like,
Oh my God, I was gonna say, it looks like
the doors are open and they see hundreds of pumpkins coming in or going out, but you know, in general, like the windows are blacked out. We're working in the dark.
oh wow, okay, that's even cooler.
we're like the Batcave with fitting rooms.
it looks like the crate and barrel of pumpkin carving stores. It just looks like this beautiful high-end boutique of a pumpkin carving store.
If we didn't
Oh
have
my
to
God.
paint it back to the way it was originally, we would definitely black out this entire space.
Nice.
But advance, we're always like, what do we have to do like at the very end, and what might we want to avoid?
But the HQ every year, it's a big part of the company of what Maniac Pumpkin Carvers is, and it's like this living space where, you know, how is it 7,000 square feet? Like, we have a lot of space to do. We have a whole area where we assemble our carving kits that we send out when people do our virtual classes. We have a whole area that's just a lighting department. We have our photo studios, and, you know, there's like different areas where we do all of the content. You know, such a big part of our company too is making content for big brands, doing their pumpkin whatever content for, you know, TV, right, for social media. And so we have different photo area setups with all of our studio lights, and it's such a great space to work in. It gets better every year. You know, every year we like kind of tweak it, and
it seems like it gets bigger and bigger and more more awesome every year. And it's just fun. It's super fun to watch, honestly. Really fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Paul. Before I'm gonna keep asking a million questions.
I know you are. Listen, that's
sorry,
why
I get ahead.
You're a question asker. You gotta make you good.
I'm geeking out. Sorry.
All right, let me. I'll put us back on the tracks, and then we'll go off the tracks again. It'll be fine.
Please do.
So we like to take a look back at what we did the week before we start rolling into this week. So last week we had on Drew Smith, who won the GPCC this year, and the Wheel of Doom, or the Halloween, chose Cocky Undead. And Ted went right for Ron Burgundy for his Coxman Assurity.
Thought that looked like
beautiful.
So you know what the beauty of Ted is? Ted's a fabricator. So when Ted can sketch things out really quick, but Ted will build something so massive that it'll take up 3,500 square feet of a shop. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I love that Ted's able to keep up with us. And once Ted hits his groove and decides to really dive into one, it's going to take him like 3 months. He's going to go on he's not going to take the wheel challenge. He's going to take one wheel challenge a month. And I think should be Ted's. Yeah. Like, we should challenge Ted with like, can you fabricate something in a month?
And every time he does, it's a whole lot. It's
unbelievable. It's crazy. It's great to have him on board.
Yeah. All right. What would you carve? What would you carve, Paul?
It's all right. It's hard to make an undead cocky. I'd like I don't know. I figured he was like checking out a check and just being like, "Hey, I still got it. I don't have that. I don't have a lip anymore, but I still got it."
That's how it reads to me. I looked at this guy and he's like, "Oh yeah, you want some of this?" Like, you know, he forgot his face is chewed off, but
yeah. Like he swallowed the little blue pill. It fell out the decapitated part of his neck, but he doesn't know that. He just thinks he's still
Oh,
there.
my. He's smiling with his eyes.
That's
Correct.
right.
Exactly. Let's see what you got, Maddie.
I've been rotten.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
This has a lot going on. This is great.
There's a lot going on.
This is
I
so.
went with,
look,
I had a long, tall one, and I had so much space above him. Like, I'm gonna make him have some really cool '50s hair, like some slick back, cool, you know. And then he's got that kind of like smug. Is more smug than cocky, but you know, part of his nose and forehead's ripped off. So
No, he's cool. I really like this one, Matt.
thank you.
I do too. Like I said, there's a lot to look at. Like the skin folded under him, the forehead's pretty crazy. The hair, you do hair awesome. That's why I hate. I don't like putting anything on the wheel that has to do with like facial hair or specific to. And Matt just eats it up. So it's fantastic.
I love doing beards and hair whenever
You did eyebrows. That's like a. That's like
eyebrows. Yeah.
I like the cleft chin too.
Oh yeah. And the fun part was over on the left, his left side, that you can see a little brown spot. The thing was already rotting, and it it blended so well to like. I'm like, oh my god, that's already great. It's like already falling apart. He's rotting. He's a zombie. It was great. Anyway, fun one. That was a fun.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, that brings us to the next portion. The next portion would be now we have to spin again. So I will introduce you to the center spinner, the Hella Wheel, the raging ball of anxiety that happens every time we got to spin it. And looks like
there we go.
A little window here.
There we go.
And there she is. Look at her in all with glory. The wheel. All right, you guys know the deal. So I'll give you what we're going to have for choices for Matt and I this evening. It's going to be Thriclops, as in not a Cyclops. Old, guest choice, undead. If it lands on undead, we'll go for another spin. Fantasy animal, female, demon, baby, hillbilly, or aquatic. Second spin will be exhausted, expired, guest choice, once again. Crazy, cocky, same thing, we'll spin again. Excited, furious, sad, flustered, or confused. What are the odds it's going to land on cocky undead again?
90%.
Let's get our DraftKings apps ready. Here we go. Female. Oh, no.
Oh, good Lord. I hate you.
Oh, no. Sorry, guys. Show's over. And she's going to be confused.
Oh.
Well.
Female.
Well, that one's going to get me in some hot water.
I don't know any confused females.
Oh, no. They're all perfect. Perfect. Oh, God.
There's no such thing. There's no such thing.
No.
So I'll put it on the chat. I'll put it on the chat here. It is a confused female. Now it's now I'm a confused male. So
Well.
Good
Well,
luck.
I mean, and this is actually a great segue because of the challenge. This is a good time to give everybody a couple minutes to get their tools and let us go around the horn and have a drink and think about it for a minute before we really get ourselves in hot water.
I like it. Good thinking, Paul.
All right. Thinking. So let's go to the Maniacs. What are you boys drinking tonight? They look like pretty similar cans there.
We're caffeinating up with some nice herbal yerba mate.
Ooh.
Look at the product placement.
They're in their studio, so we'll give you guys a break. Come on. You know.
I'm surprised you're not drinking it out of hollowed out pumpkins with the label on it. That would be very Maniac of you. Perfect product placement. You guys are everywhere.
Yeah.
Love it. Maddie, what do you got?
Well, let's see. What do I got? I got there's a little place in Tucson called Moto Sonora, and this one's a Victory or Death IPA.
IPA. Wait, sorry, what?
I know. I made a mistake, but it is really. They have a really cool. I mean, everything's kind of very motor, like 50s, 60s. Salt flats kind of vibe going on with all their cans and stuff. So super fun. So we'll see if it tastes any good. I'm sure it'll be great. Paulie?
I know. I always say don't beat a dead horse, but here I am beating a dead horse. Got to get them out of the fridge. Shipyard pumpkin head.
Pumpkin on it.
It's good. I really enjoy it. So sue me. I like it.
Yeah.
So cheers. Cheers
yeah,
to
a little
Marc. Cheers.
toast for the boys to a nice
Pleasure having you
fun
guys
evening.
back on. Cheers to your success this season.
Thank you. Likewise.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. I'm already scared. Just the shape of the pumpkin that I have is making me like, oh boy. I need a tall, slender, beautiful pumpkin. Oh, look at these young bucks. Look at these guys. So, like every season, we just start off with you guys start every season already in like fifth gear. There's no slow easing into a season. You guys are just boom, 0 to 60 right off the line till just about Christmas, it seems like.
You know, that's how it feels, and we try to ease into it, but for us, you know, the way we're easing into it is by like working on pumpkin stuff in July and August, because once we hit September, it's really full steam ahead, and we're cranking. The season thankfully has extended over the years and really goes from like end of August to, you know, to Thanksgiving, and it's it's a wild ride. It's exhausting, you know, the pace that we go at, and definitely takes its toll. We're not as young as we were in that picture, you know, but we get it done, and luckily we've surrounded ourselves with some amazing crew that, you know, help make all the magic happen. You know, it's definitely all hands on deck for October for sure, and somehow we come out on the other side.
Well, and you know, it's funny you say that, because we've had kind of this loose conversation before, but do you talk yourself off the ledge sometimes and realize that it's gonna work out no matter what? Like, you guys know every year you're gonna kill it, but we've talked about that anxiety as an artist, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't you feel a little more nervous if you felt like everything was in control and cool? Like, if it wasn't chaotic, wouldn't that feel a little weird to you?
No, that would be a great feeling to feel that.
Yeah, remember what I said before? Yeah, screw that. We want calm.
Yeah, I mean, calm is good. Calm, you know, like, and we've gotten better, you know, as we've been doing this for a long time. Like, this year was 15 years of Maniac pumpkin carvers, and we've been carving, you know, many years before that. But we have gotten better at, like, just kind of running things, that things run smoother. But at some point, you know, like a few years ago, I feel like we just started trusting that it is going to work out. But in the moment, it doesn't always be, you know, there's always, you know, the unanticipated variables, especially when working with ephemeral mediums and juggling multiple projects and different timelines and deadlines, and, you know, various personalities on the client side, on the team side. So there's a lot of factors, and there's a lot of potential for, you know, chaos in the midst of everything that's going on.
Sure.
Add in working around the clock, and, you know, like,
Oh boy.
you know, a few all-nighters to the mix, and it just.
Well, and see, on top of that, so you see here this, you know, you got the kitchen marketplace. You've got, if you look at your Instagram, it's a veritable who's who of customers. So, and not only what you described in the storefront / business you have, are you guys managing the business as much as you're carving, or is it more so the business? I mean, it's obviously it's taken off. You've got a tremendous customer base, and I'm sure that just continues to grow. Is it more managing, or is it more carving for you at this point?
It's a lot of both. It really, you know, the project management side of it is a huge component of what we do. It's, you know, when we first started, it was like, you know, we were looking at pumpkin carving as a new type of art form and presenting ourselves as pumpkin carving artists. But it's really grown into a brand. And, you know, so Maniac Pumpkin Carvers, we have to play the role of entrepreneur more, and there's a lot that goes into the business side that people don't see. there's a lot of reading contracts. There's a lot of phone calls and meetings. There's, you know, a lot of insurance things that, you know, it's like just so much stuff behind the scenes to be able to take on the projects that we take on. So,
right.
Yeah, when we actually do get to sit down and carve, which, you know, we do a ton of, but that, you know, it's like every professional artist kind of knows that dichotomy of having to do the business side of things versus the creative side. And the reality is that a lot of times you're spending more time doing the business stuff than the creative stuff. But it's, you know, it just makes it all that much sweeter when you actually get to sit down and get into a flow.
I agree.
Yeah. Speaking of like this, you look at this and you're like, that's not a pumpkin. It's just a, you know, they AI'd that somehow. But I know that from a love of doing the art, did you ever, you know, with the business side of it, you know, taking a big front seat, did you ever kind of dread ever carving? Do you ever sit there and say, oh God, I got 10 more to go? Or do you still find the love in making the stuff?
Yeah, both. I mean, I would say both. You know, there's still a degree of dread, you know, sometimes when it comes to like, what the task is, just even in terms of like a season, you know, how many pumpkins do we need to carve by such and such date? And when, you know, the deadlines start appearing and, you know, you start having to keep up with the pumpkins that need to be carved and, you know, managing the studio, managing events that are in multiple locations. And
it's daunting, you know, it's daunting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
but
especially
it's still a whole lot, but then, you know, it's still a whole lot of fun. Like every pumpkin, every project that we take on, every job that we take on, you know, whether it's, you know, something really exciting artistically or, you know, detail wise, or, you know, even if it's a traditional jack-o'-lantern that we're carving in an order of, you know, 50, you know, we're taking a lot of pride in, you know, really enjoying every pumpkin that we're carving and every pumpkin that's coming in and out of the doors of the studio.
Yeah.
that one right there is one of our crew. Ben Gotti did that was for one of the Comedy Central shows. Such a sick piece.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. You know, when we're juggling all those different things, like there are times when we have 10 artists in the studio working, we have 3 people at different events all at the same time. And, you know, so it's just like, there's a lot of chaos, you know, and we, just, you know, making sure that everything maintains the same level of quality control that we built our brand on people expecting a certain level from us. And so making sure that across the board, all the things that are happening in the studio and offsite, it's a lot of hats that get worn. And it's definitely work, you know, it's definitely work. But
you touched on it earlier too with the project management. Now that you are an established brand, that you get the best of the best when it comes to talent. So like you said, when you have this quality control, you know, you can rely on people, which must take that pressure off you a little. Like you can delegate who's getting what and have full confidence in these artists that you hire. So that's a lot of hats to wear. And again, like you guys said, you have different parts of the shop that somebody has to be supervising that, which I'm assuming you guys just kind of rotate who's doing what, right?
Yeah. Me and Chris do, you know, we do a lot of floating and a lot of management, and, you know, we also squeeze in a ton of carving, but it's a team effort, you know. It's really, I don't even know. Pumpkin season, you know, it's crazy too.
It's gotta be a blur at some point.
Like at the very beginning of the season, it's like, okay, just 4 more weeks to go. And then we were like 3 days out from Halloween and we're like, holy shit. I can see the finish line, you know, coming out of our bubble of time lapses and events. And
oh God,
that's you know, it's like the best kind of anxiety to have, right? The best kind of chaos equals cash, as they say.
To go back to the initial question though, you know, you kind of touched on if like
Yeah. Do you lose the fun in doing it, kind of thing?
Yeah, and I feel like
There's a balance.
it's all about balance. It's gotta be, it's gotta be a balance.
Yeah, oftentimes in the season there are moments where things are not balanced, and so we were just talking about, after the season, we really push our bodies and our immune systems. Like, it's very mental. Like, this is something that we have to do. These are things that we have to accomplish. These are jobs that we have to fulfill. Certainly for our business, and as well as, this is what we do. So, by the time Halloween is over, we often it's system failure, and often get really bad cold, or a lot of we're getting, we're in our mid 40s now, so our bodies aren't as young as they used to be, but we're in pretty good shape. But we're really beat up after the season. We push it. So it's really helpful to have a balance of preparation and going with the flow, but at the same time having a degree of control over your medium and our practice and our operation. But sometimes during pumpkin season, it's things get wacky and completely imbalanced, and then they bounce back. And we have to recover. And then
I was depleted after I finally got home to my family. I hadn't seen my kids in 2 months. We were grinding.
Wow.
And
Young kids, yeah,
that was tough. And I got home and I was kind of useless. Like, I got home and I had just powered through pumpkin season. As soon as my body had a chance to relax, it was like, no, you are gonna lay down. And I had a little cold, and it was just like I was just fatigued. Like, my kids wanted to play, and I was like, let's go for a walk instead of
slow walk.
Right.
Let's
go for a nap, guys.
Come
on.
And
play a game called sleeping.
I don't know if you guys saw. I made a post in one of the pumpkin kind of group forum things. PPD, post pumpkin depression, is real.
I saw that. I saw that. I agree with it too. There's this thing where you love hate it, and you have a bunch of stuff to do, and you're busy, and all of a sudden you're like, well, it's over. Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's like it gets exemplified, I feel like, because of the nature of Halloween and pumpkin season. It's like a lot happens in a short amount of time, but there's that feeling of building up all this energy, and then it releasing, and what comes next when you do anything big. If you're an artist who has a gallery exhibition, after the exhibition you have that too. It's there's this huge high that you get of doing what you had to do, and crushing it, and then all of a sudden what comes next is you're all right, that's done, what do we do next?
Sure. Well, it's also the thing that you get one busy season, one busy chunk a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how many years do you actually get? Think about it. If you have 30 years, that's only 30 years. That's a blink in time, right? So that's how I think of it. What happens next year if between now and then I just sort of lose it? I don't have it anymore. I don't have the patience, or I just don't have the drive. I mean, we do it year round, guys. I don't know if you know this. So we're pushing we're trying to carve our hearts out all year round.
We found butternut, is what he's saying. Yeah.
That's right.
The way you guys continue to carve with other gourds and the butternuts year round that's admirable. I love it. I love that you guys keep carving. It's so good.
Yeah, it's we. I mean, to me, I tell people all the time. It's I think when we get paid to go do these gigs and stuff, fun stuff we do, I would be doing it anyway. It's I think I would literally be sitting in my own office cranking away at something anyway, because it's just it means a lot to me just to do it, and it's a lot of fun. Anyway, But
We talk
I
about.
don't. Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say
Go ahead,
we
Mark.
talked
Yeah.
about that a lot. I mean, because how we got into it was because we were doing it anyway, and then we got to a point where we're so busy with the business that we would be doing it anyway, but we don't really have so much time anymore to do the the fun ideas that we would want to do for ourselves. It's like now that really has to be kind of factored in to like a pumpkin or two that's just for us, out of the hundreds, thousands of pumpkins.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
saw
the pumpkin or two that we save time for ourselves still end up going to like, oh well, I promised my kids I would do them a pumpkin, so
of course.
I
my neighbor or
Monday night, so I'll that's the time that I'll do it for them. And
right. We speaking of pumpkin, we had up there the Alex Pardee one. I'm a huge fan of also, but I think it'd be fun to jump to this one.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, because I mean, if you guys aren't aware, we've been living under a rock in the pumpkin world, but these guys were on this little show. Tell us how the whole idea started, and then about your time on there.
Well, yeah. I mean, you wanna talk?
Sure, I mean, I'll just mention. Yeah, we were on
Whatever you can, of course, and whatever you can.
We were recently on the newest season of Shark Tank, talking pumpkins and sharing a little bit of our pumpkin business and some future pumpkin endeavors that we've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
It was a wild experience. It's like it's high intensity. What you see on the show, it's very intense. Like, sharks are meeting you for the first time on camera, and
Wow.
they're drilling you with questions and talking over each other and arguing with each other, and you kind of have to choose who you're going to respond to, because as soon as you're answering one person, another one is interrupting, and you kind of have to steer it a little bit, but it goes so quick and it's so high pressure. But it was an incredible opportunity for us, and it was another thing that felt like a kind of a first in the pumpkin carving world to it felt very big for us to for years we were almost educating people on what a professional pumpkin carver was or could be. When we first started doing it, that term didn't even really exist. It was
Sure.
we were providing a service that nobody knew. There was no groundwork, and so it just now things have changed, but it just felt like it was also legitimizing pumpkin carving in another way of them presenting us as entrepreneurs with our pumpkin carving business, looking for raising capital. It was a very cool experience.
Yeah, and both you, Paul, I mean, as far as shows are concerned, I mean, Outrageous Pumpkins and other shows, I mean, it's kind of being thrown into a very hectic place, but I can imagine, I think this would be 10x what probably you experience on a regular, a Food Network show or something like that, I'm assuming, just because having watched it for many years, it just looks so daunting. I mean, here you are smiling. I'm sure it wasn't all smiles during the interview part, huh?
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's intense, and you're right, you hit it. You guys have both done a bunch of Food Network stuff, and so have we, and this is a different league. It's just it's a different type
big
of
money, big money. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line. It's you want to represent yourselves well, and at the end of the day, we were very proud of how we performed on the show, and we felt like we did a good job representing ourselves and the art of pumpkin carving, and we walked off happy.
Well, a couple things here. Yes, you guys did represent yourselves in the pumpkin carving community. Amazing, as you always are. You're the gold standard. But I think what was great about what you did is it was such a cool thing from an exposure department. You already have a successful business. So it was almost great it was almost like an infomercial for me, because I got to hear some more things that I didn't know that you guys did in terms of the online classes and things like that. And it was just presented in such a good way and reached such a bigger audience than like a smaller network, like, like Food Networks, like you got to have that package on cable, right?
Yeah.
Shark Tank's in your face. Like every time I put it on, it's Shark Tank or The Bachelor. And if I saw you two on The Bachelor, I'd be a little weirded out, like these two got divorced or something. But I think you guys did it was perfect. And like, and it's so, the high energy of it is like, holy, you didn't, Marc, you're a professional. Chris, you're a professional. You guys, you've been here and done that. It's not even your fourth rodeo. You guys just know how to create a successful business. So very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. The infomercial part, I agree with that.
What were you saying, Matt?
I was just saying the infomercial of for your business to the audience you may have never even touched. They're going to look at you and go, yeah, I want that. I want that. I imagine that's going to be a big success for you guys, even down the road.
It's cool too. The show is syndicated, so people will see it for the first time 10 years from now, and it's like it's just going to be circulating. So
yeah,
good,
so
good
cool.
stuff.
Yep, that was fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate everybody in the community kind of showing their support. It was cool seeing people's reactions.
Yeah, rallying around it's a small little community, but at the same time, yeah, like Paul said, you guys are the gold standard. So it's like it's just fun to see the medium in that light. It just kind of people who probably wouldn't see. I'm assuming the Sharks would have never seen it, but it's or know about this kind of art. But it's fun that those guys in their echelon do. So anyway, all good. Love this guy.
Now, is this from this season?
Yeah, so this was a fun one. We got tapped to do an event for the launch of Disney Cruise Line's new theme. They were announcing in October that the next big Disney cruise was going to be Haunted Mansion related, and they created a whole experience for some VIP guests and influencers in Manhattan, and they had us carving at the event. And so, yeah, it was very cool. It was a lot of fun to do these pumpkins like on site at the event. There were lots of influencers there taking pictures of all the different things Haunted Mansion related, the different they had the food and beverages that they're going to serve on the cruise line. It was cool, and I got to be there carving and anything Disney. We're nerds. We love this stuff, and getting to work with Disney IP it's always fun. Neil Patrick Harris was there and came over to chat for a while with his family. That was cool. Got to meet him. He's a fan of our work too, so that was like a fun kind of.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
He's been following us, and he came right over and introduced himself and just chatted for a minute. Very, very sweet person.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Doogie Howser is a fan of your work.
Yeah. We did we did an interview for his newsletter a year or two ago, and it was great. He remembered the work, and he saw me and the pumpkins, came right over. It was cool stuff.
That's amazing. It's well deserved, boys. It's well deserved. And another high profile.
Yeah, we had some great gigs this year. We've done stuff for the Harry Potter on Broadway, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, a few different times. Like when the show first opened, Chris did a carving class for all of the performers.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it was like, amazing experience. We've done stuff for the theater a few times. And this year they asked us to create an installation for the theater, and we did a bunch of pumpkins, and they invited us to check out the show and get inspired. So that was kind of cool, going and seeing the show for the first time and getting some inspo. This is another one by our guy Ben Angadi, just fire. It's like that's the key art from the movie, from the Broadway poster, and It's if you're in New York, there's a lot of good shows out there. This one really was very magical. If you're a fan of Harry Potter stuff, I loved it. It feels like you're at a David Copperfield show, or it's like the magic stuff is very cool.
Mm-hmm. So cool.
Matt, have you ever seen a show on Broadway?
I have. I saw Lion King in 2012. So
That's a cool show. That show's incredible.
It was really cool, and I'm that cultured. I just want to say, I put it out there. I saw the Lion King, but it was really cool to see.
Like, it's funny. Like, that's one of those shows that's been around for a long time. It's it's a Disney production, but the art direction of that show in particular, it's Julie Taymor, who has done many big Broadway shows and directed many movies.
Oh.
Yeah, she it's that show is just phenomenal art direction.
Speaking of New York, do you miss, because I know, Mark, you're not in like New York proper all the time anymore. Do you miss the buzz of the city like that? Or not?
There are times when I miss things about the buzz of the city, but in general, I'm really enjoying spending a lot more time in the mountains and a little bit quieter pace outside of pumpkin season. Right. And then I get all of that chaos during pumpkin season.
You get it like a big, like a bolus injection right in your brain of chaos.
But I have these like delusions that I'm gonna do some fun things in the city while I'm in town for 2.5, 3 months, and I have time for nothing. I got to see Harry Potter. That was cool.
There you go.
That works.
Yeah, you got to come up for air, have some lunch one time, took a nap. Yeah, it's about it.
Yeah, no real sightseeing.
Chris, are you painting kind of off? I mean, because I again, if you guys haven't been a fan of Chris Oria's, like when you see the stuff he does, like from a painting perspective on a large scale, it is mind-boggling. Are you doing a lot of that in the off season still?
Yeah, definitely in the off season. Doing murals and making paintings out of my studio, and murals and painting are one of our other predominant mediums. In the off season, we're doing a lot of that work.
I love that. Yeah, it's staggering. I mean, obviously you've got the etched pumpkins, and then here's hard at work on one as we speak. That's awesome. And then I saw this glamour shot.
Yes, so that's what I wanted to talk about. Is not only are they crazy with high profile pumpkins, they're coming out with a calendar.
This one was really funny. We had posted, we did the Shark Tank, and it aired, and we had a few carving classes, like openly public carving classes that we were making available that we had to make posts for, and we had already posted like a couple of the couple of the photos from Shark Tank. And, after a certain point, we start needing to come up with some new stuff. So, Marc, he was at an event, he was like texting me, he's like, post about the open public class this afternoon. So I was like, all right, I don't know what photo to post. So there was, next door, there was a pile of pumpkins that I had the maintenance guy take a photo of me in a reclined position. And I basically just duplicated all the piles of photos in Procreate. And created this. I feel like it being square makes it feel like an extra calendar shot.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I can see. This is November. This is the afterglow of pumpkin carving.
Mo pumpkins, Movember.
That's
exactly. So
First of all, that should be a mural on one wall of somewhere in that studio. That should be a complete wall.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean.
An iconic photo, Chris, is what I'm saying. It's iconic.
Carving pumpkins in the Halloween season, has always tapped into our, desire to do kind of silly shit. And we were laughing actually earlier the other day. We were discussing what we legally can and can't do with the Shark Tank content. And one of the things that we legally can't do is remix it. And we had some really exciting things that we were hoping that we could do with the Shark Tank content, but If at the very least, yeah, we like to have fun sometimes and create some
I love it.
fun content.
I love it.
It's fantastic. Here's another success from the Maniac pumpkin carvers. Now this was from
Wall Street Journal.
a Wall Street Journal. Is that what that is?
That little known paper that you read every now and then.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago. We actually, it's funny. We're so bad about. We need a social media manager. We need someone who posts more of the things that we do for us, because we get so into the grind of all the other aspects that it kind of gets hard to make regular posts. And
Right.
we had a ton of great press this year that we didn't really share. We shared some great projects, but like scratching the surface of what we actually worked.
I bet.
It gets hard to kind of, and then some of the corporate stuff we just we don't share necessarily all of it, because it's just
you bought it, it's theirs.
It's theirs, where it's just not like we don't necessarily want to just like, not every brand is something that we need in our feed. That's we curate our feed to a degree, but a lot of times it's just not having enough time to like make as many posts as we would like.
But from an artistic standpoint, I look at this. I'm like, I'm not looking at a pumpkin. This is just staggering to me. It's just
original right there.
Oh, it's just so. I see the mirror on the water of the sky in and I see the skyline of the city and the clouds. I mean, how is that? Anyway, it's just ridiculously good. It's probably one of the best etched pumpkins, and it's just a landscape. But the fact that it's a pumpkin, for God's sake, anyway, it just blows my mind. It's beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, this was a fun one. I mean, this carving, one of the things that we relate this style of pumpkin carving to, the etch style where, we're scooping the inside and putting the light in, and then, just skimming the surface. We sometimes consider that painting with light, where with every loop stroke, with every lino cut, you're releasing more light. So it's like, and you're literally at a certain point, you're literally making what's akin to brush strokes, just with a different tool, and releasing more and more light. So obviously, with a pumpkin like this, the deepest parts are the very bright. The deepest parts are the brightest spots where the sun is piercing through the clouds, and then underneath. But those a lot of pumpkin carvers will differentiate sculptural carving with the etched carving, which is flatter and more two-dimensional in many ways. But in many ways, it's sculptural also, because all these clouds needed to be sculpted in a sense to create that illusion. Then the light piercing through, like that glare, was actually carved into those values that were already established. But it's always magical. It's like you're carving. With this style, we're carving in a dimmer setting, and when the pumpkin's close to being finished, and as you're working on it, it's just like you're working in the dark on a glowing medium that is revealing more and more light to you, and it's super hypnotic and definitely very, very rewarding. So
and I look at this and I'm like, it's a round surface, people. It does, and it's also a living, it's a thing. It's like, it's a puppet that is like currently rotting the minute you start cutting into it. So it's all those things added up. It's just another amazing. And I know you did this one. I believe this is a couple years old.
That one is that was actually the first one that we did for MoMA. Starting.
Oh, did you drop it off?
Yeah, so that
when
one
the drop offs. Okay.
2011, I think. Or
wow, long time ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is when we were doing the gorilla drops.
The gorilla drops of the at the MoMA every year, and
One really cool thing that we're proud of with the MoMA pumpkins that we've done are that, and the pumpkins that we've done for art museums such as the Whitney are that these pumpkins are often their most popular posts on social media. So, Van Gogh's Starry Night, I don't want to make the claim, but I believe that year it was more popular than a post of Van Gogh's Starry Night. So, we're tickled pink about that being the case. And for the past couple of years, we've been carving pumpkins for the Whitney Museum in New York, and that's been a hit there also. So,
And you still have both your ears, so that's a good thing.
But doing these doing works of art, doing landscapes, doing fashion items, just like crushing these unexpected things in pumpkin too has been a big part of like our exploration of the medium. It's like doing things that aren't just what you might expect out of the spooky realm or faces, characters. It's been fun kind of like expanding those horizons, and I love those landscapes that we've gotten hired to do so many like unbelievable iconic works of architecture, especially like iconic New York buildings like Radio City and 30 Rock and the there's all these like iconic New York buildings that we've been hired to carve for different events, and it's always wild.
And Chris, when you did the car as well.
Say again, Paul?
I would say when Marc was talking about the architecture, which you don't get to see a lot because it's such a tough thing to do, especially its perspective, and you're talking about complete opposite geometry on top of opposite geometry. When Chris, you did the car,
was
it BMW or something, right? It was
a couple years ago.
We've done a lot of cars. A
lot of cars.
It literally makes no sense to my brain.
Yeah, and I mean, certain pairings such as that, like a car or a building on a pumpkin, or just the medium in contrast with this more rigid architectural structural subject matter sometimes translates so very well in pumpkin, or even something as mundane as a shoe can end up translating really well, and like, oh wow, like that looks exactly like a sneaker.
How many we've probably done 6 or 7 different luxury automotive brands, it's
wow,
wild.
I don't even understand that, because like my first thought, if I was to do a building, I'd want to sculpt a building into the side of a pumpkin, and my proportions would be insane. But you're saying it's easy. Those are the better ones for that. I mean, anyway, mind-boggling.
I wouldn't say it's easy.
Not easy, but I'm just saying you got the formula. How's that?
You know what though? We frequently, we do sculpt, but with so much of the work that we're known for, we're coming at it from a more illustrator, painter perspective.
Yeah.
So it's a different approach. And the way Chris described it earlier, painting with light is the best way to really describe what we're really doing when we get into it.
Yeah, and you talk about the etching and everything you do, and you're clearly the masters when it comes to like 3D sculptures. Clearly, you're the masters as well. So I mean, it's a two-way street. Paul and I'll speak for Paul. I can't imagine doing an etched pumpkin the way you guys are painting, carving with light like that. But I can't imagine, some of the amazing stuff you've done, like at Luna Park with Lenny Calvin and others. Like this amazing thing. Now, clearly, this is something that was written up, and I'm saying that in a poor way. Like you probably did the sketch and worked it out based on the size of the pumpkin and everything you wanted to do. But then the 3D sculpt of it is as impressive to me as any of the etched pumpkins you guys do. So tell us about this one.
So that one in particular, that one was from not this past season, but the year before. Yep. That was me and Lenny at Luna Park, and we were blessed that year with a really beautiful pumpkin to carve. I think it was in the neighborhood of 1,600 to 1,800 pounds.
Oh my goodness!
It was one of the bigger ones that Luna has gotten for us, and to the point where, like, we had sketches, and Lenny had done some really wonderful, like, maquettes out of clay to like help us kind of figure out the pose.
He's good
But
at that.
we also made adjustments on the fly where, like, when we realized how thick the pumpkin was, it opened up possibilities for us. And that's something with live carving also, that you kind of have to like leave some stuff to improvise. And so that tail, nothing was added on there. The pumpkin was so thick that we were able to dig a tunnel under the tail and go through the other side without piercing the center of the pumpkin. And
Wow.
it was massive. It was, and just like getting that forced perspective of the character on the hands and the tail and the skulls, it was a blast.
Yeah. So now, does this fall into the category of fun things? Like when you were saying fun personal projects that you'd like to do with pumpkin, is Luna Park kind of one of those times where you're like, we get to do what we want?
It's one of those events that is fun because you're sculpting a giant pumpkin. It's major anxiety and inducing because you're sculpting a giant pumpkin. It's like you're doing it all in that case, you're like, you have one day to do it. So, the deadline is very daunting. And there's a lot of pressure, and you're also interacting with people. It's a public, it's like part performance art.
It's usually a rain or shine, event for us.
Right.
So sometimes.
You're there either way. Yeah, you got to crank it out.
Chris did a few years ago, and it's something too. It's like, it's not that we have full creative freedom on it. We always have to do something that kind of fits the theme of Luna Park. It is a historic amusement park in Coney Island, New York, right on the ocean. And so they, it has to kind of fit in with their aesthetics too, and things that are a little branding forward, or normally, very, they want people to know that it's Luna Park. So working logo in somehow is something we often try and do. But they're fun, they're exciting, and they're terrifying. It's like every time. It's just like there's not a lot of room for error.
When you guys did this one, I swear I was like, I was baffled for a while. Now, it's amazing. I love this one. One of my favorites.
That one is the great Lenny Calvin and Dean Arnold. Me and Chris weren't there that day, but those guys did a great job representing Maniac for that one.
Exactly. It's under the umbrella.
The illusion of the floating pumpkin is such a great trick in that one.
It's so cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Just a really, I mean, all together, a really cool sculpt, because you wouldn't imagine that out of a pumpkin, like, ever. And then all of a sudden it's got that really, I mean, and the fact that the floating pumpkin is part of it, just, anyways, brilliant.
You can see, though, in the bottom of the screen, you could see Lenny's clay sketch. And, doing something like that in preparation of doing a giant pumpkin is such a clutch move. It gives you a game plan and allows your brain to, like, start placing the forms before you start subtracting. It's super helpful.
I also love that the genie is Lenny.
Yeah, it's totally. Dean did that head based on Lenny, for sure.
I love it.
Fantastic.
I love it. Well,
you threw a slide up of that painted Luna Park pumpkin board, and that's something that we had created for them 2 years. Was it 2 years ago we built that?
Yeah.
The back, Matt.
And
that one. There it is. Yeah.
And so that's like another that involved some carved pumpkins. It involved a whole lot of painting. It involved some construction.
Sure.
Just a fun project that they had us do. That is like a freestanding mural that, we're working on a new piece right now for their winter festival.
Can we look at it, or should we not talk about that?
We can give you a little tease.
Oh, all right. Well, let's blow this up.
Look at that.
This is going to be over at Luna Park starting this weekend for their new Winter Frost Fest.
Oh, look, they're for scale. Now we have a
Yeah.
Chris in front of it for scale. Wow,
And that's
big.
not actually that's just that you guys are good because that's a snow globe, man. Like I thought there was a bubble over it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow,
So
how cool is that?
for them, it's like stretching our painting muscles, and it was funny. The first day that we spent a day building the wooden canvas and making it sturdy, and then we started painting yesterday, and we got 90% of what's there done yesterday, really, so far. But we were painting, and I'm like holding a brush, and I'm like I'm like remembering, having to remember the sensitivity of holding a paintbrush and like making my strokes. It's like going from card to painting and back and forth. They inform each other, but you have to like recalibrate a bit.
Sure. Oh yeah, completely different. Now, have you guys ever been tested for artistic PEDs? Because it seems a little. You guys are able to just shift gears and keep it going without.
Our parents always said that we were artistic.
Artistic. Art. Okay. Okay. It's all coming together.
Creative artist. Come on.
No, but I'm always impressed. I mean, I'm again a big fan of both of you, like in the off season too. And I see the paintings you guys do and the drawings and the ways, the different tangents you go on. And then you come back and, put your heads together and do this business that has both carved and 3D sculpts and kind of everything in between. And it just seems like it's like effortless because every one of them looks tremendous. And, Paul and I will crank out one every week, but he and I will give each other a hard time or give ourselves a really hard time about, which one we like or don't like. But it just seems like everything you guys are putting out there is just ridiculously good. And we're just thankful that you come hang out with us, us. And again, I think of it this way too. So we got a kind of in the whole scheme of things, kind of a pumpkin community, we'll call it that. And we just are always striving to be better. And whenever we see you guys post something, we want to, okay, now the bar is raised. Let's keep trying and keep pushing. So I'm just thankful that we have this relationships that we can always keep pushing ourselves to get better and bigger and stronger, for what it's worth, right?
That's the beauty of the community. We definitely all kind of gain inspiration and see people doing amazing stuff. And every time somebody, the bar keeps getting raised for etching, sculpting, painting. It's one of the great things. It's an art form. What we do. It's not. There's people that look at pumpkin carving as a craft, a hobby, but it's an art, and there's no ceiling. Everyone keeps getting better and better, and just constantly trying to do our best. We're gonna keep. We were talking about today. It's like we always try and over deliver, and in the process that raises the bar. But then we also realize, oh shit, we just we got
to deliver past that. Yeah.
we gotta raise the prices to meet how much time we just put into this project.
Seriously.
Totally. Well, this is you guys from a few years ago. I recall this was next to one of your a mural you did next to one of your pop-ups. But
that's another. Our team is so multi-talented. One of the carvers who we've shown a few pieces from tonight, Ben Agati, phenomenal muralist, and he did that mural for us. That was probably our biggest headquarters that we ever had. That was a square block in Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
No way.
House that we rented out, and we really only needed like a corner of it, but we had this huge warehouse. We would drive cars around inside.
That's fun.
It was that was a scary building at night.
Yeah, definitely seemed like
you're in Brooklyn. I love it.
Unbelievable.
I love it. Well, I hate to say it, fellas, but we're we're already a little over time, but I never want to stop talking to you guys because your inspirations, everything we see and hear from you guys is just another round of holy F. I gotta raise the bar. But clearly we and Paul and I mean, I'll speak for myself. I didn't get very far in my car because I was just geeking out and watching all the cool stuff, but that happens. So this is where we can find anybody from Maniac Pumpkin Carvers. Is there anywhere else besides these fantastic places where you can find individual Marc and Chris? Anything else?
Those are the best places to follow and to connect. We we both are pretty active on Instagram. Follow along, reach out. We love connecting with other artists and carvers in the community, and it's been wild. It's nice talking to you guys at the end of the season, doing a little roundup.
Yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
The 1 hour format goes so quick. We didn't even get to geek out over favorite new tools. I feel like
I know.
So how about we have you back? I mean, I don't know, Paul. What do you think? We should have him back,
dude. When they can make time for us.
I know.
I'm snappy.
It takes a while to get back on. It's scheduling has been tricky, but it's great that we found some time.
No, and thanks, from the bottom of our hearts for joining us again. I kind of like doing it after the season because we get to see you guys at your happiest. You get to decompress a little. You're onto that second phase, and it's always a pleasure talking to you guys. And I'm so happy for your success and everything. So thanks again for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having
me.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Paul.
Absolutely.
Boys. Anytime.
And of course, this is where you can find us, all the socials, but you already follow us because you're clearly watching and you're big fans already. So, but yeah, thank you guys again. We'll certainly have you back anytime you want, and continue watching every single week, right, Paul? Every Thursday?
Well, I mean, depending on what your medical condition is, maybe every other week. Don't overdo it. I mean,
when the doctor says I can get in front of a camera, I'll be here. I promise.
Right. Well, hey, before we go, can we give a shout out to Matt's new microphone? Holy Barry White.
Hello. Have you ever found? Yeah. Believe me, I was talking out of a tin can for too long. I stepped up in the world, so I'm starting to get Joe Rogan on us all here. Get some legit.
You sound fantastic.
Thank you.
That's another episode of Carvers and Creators. Once again, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Marc. Thank you, everybody watching. It's a pleasure to do this every week with pretty amazing artists. So let's just keep doing it. So, we won't see you next week because of Thanksgiving. So I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yeah, big one.
But after that, we're going into the Christmas season, hot and heavy. We got some great guests coming up. We're gonna have Santa Claus on this year.
Right on.
The real one, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. No, he is. He told me he was, so it's good. But all right. So on behalf of us, to you, thanks for joining us for another episode. Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys. Have a great night.